Jnana-kosha, Vedas.
ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवस्त्रमस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पदान शृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनम् ओम पूर्णमिदं पूर्णमदः पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Shukla Yajurveda Upanishads. Pingala Upanishad. Pingala Upanishad is a Shukla Yajurveda Upanishad. This Upanishad comprises of 4 chapters. Pingala Upanishad is a conversation between Saint Pingala, the Sishya, and Saint Yagyavalkya is the Guru. In this conversation, Saint Pingala asks Saint Yagyavalkya about the truth behind Lord Brahma's knowledge, Kaivalya, and how it can be attained. The first chapter of Pingala Upanishad. The moral of this Upanishad has been explained through a conversation. The first chapter of Pingala Upanishad explains the situation when Saint Pingala asked Saint Yagyavalkya about the existence and creation of the world. He also wanted to know about Lord Brahma's knowledge or Kaivalya. It is believed that Saint Pingala was Saint Yagyavalkya's student for 12 years. Once he wanted to know all this which impressed Saint Yagyavalkya. He told Saint Pingala that he would clear all his doubts. Saint Yagyavalkya first tells Saint Pingala about the creation of this earth. He tells him that in the beginning there was only one matter which was shapeless, indestructible, true, free from everything and filled with immense knowledge. This matter was a form of Lord Brahma. He resides in everything and everything resides in him. He is the creator of everything including the earth. He said that Lord Brahma used his power to create pride. He then extracted its shadow and the 5 core elements that created the earth and everything else were formed. These were fire, water, sky, air and earth. The Rajoguna of these 5 elements was divided into 4 parts. The 3 parts created 5 different types of souls and the 4th part created life. The Satguna of these 5 elements was also divided into 4 parts. These 3 parts formed sound and voice and the 4th part created knowledge. These elements created all other Devis and Devas and protected everything else that existed. In the beginning, even the Devas were without a soul and knowledge. Lord Brahma created their souls which had immense knowledge and resided in everything. This soul then created everything else and resided in it. The soul of a person then came to be known as life. Pingala Upanishad, 2nd chapter. In the 2nd chapter of Pingala Upanishad, Saint Pingala asked Saint Yagyavalkya the way in which he can attain Lord Brahma's knowledge or Kaivalya. He asked Saint Yagyavalkya to tell him the way in which he can understand the one who created everything. Listening to this, Saint Yagyavalkya asked Saint Pingala to pay attention as the differences between the Lord Brahma and every other thing are precise and universal. Saint Yagyavalkya says that everything in the world has been created by the 5 core elements which are water, air, earth and sky. He says that water created saliva, sweat, blood, and urine. Fire created heat, hunger, aggression, and passion. Air created speed, rise, fall, and breath. Sky created karma and anger. In the same way, earth created ashes, brain, skull, flesh, bones, and nails. A body of a combination of all these five elements. Hence, a body is a combination of all these five elements. After explaining this, Saint Yagyavalkya said that the Rajoguna of these five elements was divided into 4 parts. These parts out of these created prana, life and soul. He said that even prana are of 5 types, namely prana, apana, vayana, udana and samana. The element that is a part of prana is known as aprana. It is said that even this is of 5 different types, namely krikar, devatut, nag, kuru and dhanyajaya. The residing places of prana is a body or heart, navel, neck, etc. The 4th part of Rajoguna creates nerves in the body that deal with the karmas. The 4th part of Satguna creates the mind that takes all the decisions. The lords of all these parts have been direction, air, water, sun, Indra, Yam, moon, Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, fire, etc. This is how Lord Brahma resides in every being in the form of soul, nerves and mind. Lord Brahma develops and protects everything in the same way. Saint Yagyavalkya also says that at the time of death, all these elements and parts of body are destroyed and the soul unites with the Lord. So here goes the Upanishad. Om Tat Brahman is infinite and this universe is infinite. The infinite proceeds from the infinite. Then taking the infinitude of the infinite universe, it remains as the infinite Brahma alone. Om, let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Then indeed Pingala approached Yagyavalkya as a disciple and having served him for 12 years said, instruct me in regard to the supreme mystery of aloneness. The eminent Yagyavalkya replied, Dear one, in the beginning this indeed existed. It was the eternally free, immutable, everlasting one, secondless Brahma, full of truth, knowledge and bliss. It is existed, the primordial and indefinable Prakriti, consisting of gunas in a state of equipoise, red, white and dark, resembling the existence of water, saliva, a man and outlines, respectively, in the mirage oyster shell, a stump and a mirror. What was reflected in it was the whiteness, consciousness. Having been modified with the preponderance of sattva and named avyakta, its prakriti became the power of concealment. What was reflected in it became God consciousness. He has Maya under his control, is omniscient, is the initial cause of creation, sustenance and dissolution of the world, and has the form of the sprouting world. He manifests the entire world dissolved in him. Due to the power of the karmas of living beings is the world spread out like this cloth, and due to their exhaustion again is the world concealed. In him alone does the entire world exist as a folded cloth. From the power of concealment controlled by God arose the power of projection called Mahat. What is reflected in it is the consciousness of Hiranyagarbha. He has the conceit of ownership as regards Mahat and has a body partly manifest and partly unmanifest. From the protective power controlled by Hiranyagarbha arose the gross power called the ego. With the preponderance of tamas, what was reflected in it was the consciousness of Virat. That Virat who has conceit in the ego, a manifest body, and is the chief person. Vishnu is the protector of all gross things. From that self arose ether, from the ether air, from air fire, from fire water, from water earth. These 5 root elements are composed of the 3 gunas. Desiring to create that world cause, controlling the quality of tamas, sought to render the subtle root elements gross. The bifurcated each of the extremely limited elements and again made fourfold and added each of the 5 halves to 1/8 of the other 4. With those quintuplicated elements, he created endless crores of macrocosms, and for each of these 14 appropriate worlds and globular grass bodies fit for each planes of this and of them all. Having divided into 4 the rajas part of the 5 elements, he made prana with its 5-fold activity from the 3 parts of it. From the 4th part of rajas, he fashioned the organ of action. Having divided into 4 their sattva part out of the combination of the 3 of them, he made the inner organ with its 5-fold activity. From the 4th, he made the organs of cognition. From the combination of sattva, he made the guardians of sense organs. He cast them, having created them into the macrocosm due to his command, conjured with the ego. The Virat protected the gross elements. Commanded by him, Hiranyagarbha protected the subtle ones. In the cosmos, they could not, without God, pulsate or act. He desired to vivify them, splitting open the macrocosm, the channels of Brahman, and the crowns of individuals. He entered into them. Though they were inert, like sentient, they performed each its own functions. The omniscient Lord, conjoined with a streak of Maya, on entering the individual bodies and deluded by it, became the Jiva due to self-identification with the 3 bodies. He became both agent and reaper of actions of fruits, possessing the attributes of wakefulness, dream, deep sleep, swoon, and death. Like a chain of buckets attached to a water wheel, he becomes troubled and, as it were, is born and dies, revolving like a potter's wheel. Now Pingala asked Yajnavalkya, how did the omnipotent Lord of all worlds, the author of their manifestation, sustenance, and dissolution, became Jiva? Yajnavalkya replied, I shall speak distinguishing between the forms of the Jiva and the God, following the generations of the gross, subtle, and casual bodies. Listen with exclusive attention. Employing parts of quadruplicated grass element, the Lord made individual and collective grass bodies respectively. Earthy are the skull, skin, intestines, bones, flesh, and nails. Watery are the blood, urine, saliva, perspiration, and so forth. Fiery are hunger, thirst, heat, lassitude, sexual union. Airy are the movements, the transporting breathing. Ethereal are lust, anger. The gross body with skin is a combination of this fashioned through deeds, is the basis of life, states like childhood, conceit, and numerous failings. Then he manifested prana from the non-quadruplicated aggregate of the 3 rajas parts of the gross element. The modification of the life principle are the prana, apana, vayana, udana, and samana. The subordinate functions of prana are named Naga, Kurma, Krikara, Devadatta, and Dhananjaya. Their bases are the heart, the anus, the navel, throat, and all the limbs. With the fourth part of the rajas of Akasha, he manifested the organ of action. Its functions are performed by the tongue, the hands, the feet, the anus, and the generative organ. The objects of these are speech, grasping movement, excretion, and sex enjoyment. Similarly, from the aggregate of the three sattva parts of the element, he manifested the inner organs. Its functions are the mind, the intellect, thought, and the ego. The objects of these are imagination, determination, memory, conceit, and investigation. Their bases are the throat, the mouth, the navel, the heart, and the junction of the eyebrows. With the fourth part of the sattva of the elements, he manifested the sense of cognition. Its functions are the ears, the skin, the eyes, the tongue, and the nose. Their objects are sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The overlords of the organs, the perception and action, are the direction, the wind, the sun, Prachetas, Ashwins, fire, Indra, Upendra, death, the moon, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shambhu. Now there are 5 sheaths: that of foot, of vital breaths, of mind, of knowledge, and of bliss. The sheath of foot comes into being from the essence of the foot alone, develops by it, and is dissolved in the earth that is predominantly of the nature of foot. That alone is the gross body. The 5 breaths, prana, together with the 5 organs of actions, constitute the sheath of vital breath. The sheath of mind is the mind together with the organs of cognition. The sheath of knowledge is the intellect together with the organs of cognition. These 3 sheaths constitute the subtle body. The sheath of bliss is the knowledge of one's essence, that is the casual body. The 8-fold city consists of the 5 organs of cognition, the 5 organs of action, the 5 breaths, the 5 elements like ether, the 5-fold inner organs, desire, action, and tamas. Vishwa is the self of knowledge, a reflection of Sat, the empirical being, having conceit in the gross body of the waking state. The field of the actions or born of actions is also a name of Vishwa. The body's command, the Hiranyagarbha, entered the subtle body of the individual and surpassing the mind became the Taijasa. Taijasa is the appearance, dream fashioned in a name of Taijasa. By God's command, the self with the adjutant of Maya together with the unmanifest entered the individual casual body, became prana. The prana is undifferentiated, real, having conceit in deep sleep, is the name of prajna. Texts like Tattvasami declare the identity with Brahman of the real jiva concealed by ignorance and part of the unmanifest, not of the other 2, the empirical and the illusory jivas in the background, in the waking and in the dream state. The consciousness reflected in the inner organ participated in the 3 states, merged in the states of wakefulness, dream, and deep sleep, like a chain of buckets attached to the water wheel and afflicted. He is as it were born and dead. Now there are 5 states: wakefulness, dream, deep sleep, swoon, and death. The wakeful state consists in the cognition of objects like sound by means of organs of cognition like ears. When aided by the respective guardian deities, the jiva stationed at the junction of the eyebrows and pervading the whole from the foot to the head becomes the agent of all kinds of activities like tilling and heaving. Also the reaper of their respective fruits. Migrating to the other worlds alone, he reaps the fruit of his activities. Tired due to activities like an emperor, he takes to the way leading to the inner chamber, a new body. When the instruments of cognition and action cease to operate, the dream state comes into being, in which there is knowledge of objects and their cognition due to the half-awakened impressions of the waking state. There Vishwa himself, due to the cessation of empirical activities, moving in the system of nerves and becoming Taijasa, enjoys freely the rarity of the world, consisting of latent impressions which he illumines with his light. The instrument of deep sleep is mind alone. Just a bird, exhausted by random flights, folds its wings and moves towards its nest, so the jiva too, sporting in the spheres of wakefulness and dream and exhausted, plunges into ignorance and enjoys its own bliss. The state of swoon is like that of death, with the sense organs stirring due to fear and unconsciousness when struck with a clubbed stick accidentally. Different from the states of wakefulness, dream, deep sleep, and swoon and occasioning fear to all jivas from Brahma down to a clump and resulting in the fall of the body is the state of death. Withdrawing the organs of action and cognition and the vital breaths corresponding to varied objects and attained by desires and actions and enveloped in ignorance and element, the jiva goes to another world. Due to the ripening of the fruits of prior action, like a worm caught up in a whirlpool, the jiva now wins rest. As a result of past good deeds, at the end of many lives, men seeking liberation, then restoring a teacher of self-realization and faithfully serving him, long one inquires into bondage and liberation. Bondage results from lack of inquiry, liberation results from inquiry. Therefore, investigate at all times. One's own nature may be determined through superimposition and its repudiation. Therefore, always inquire the individual self and the supreme self. When the state of jiva and that of the world are subtle, Brahma alone, non-different from the inner self, remains.